when we talk about energy, frequency and vibration, as Nikola Tesla said, if you wish to understand your universe, you have to think of that. But you know, if you look at if you take like a spectrum and look at the frequencies, you say we go higher, higher frequency and then lower, lower, lower. You can say illness or silvex, that's just a low frequency, then you are out of alignment, you can say, with what you truly are, because you cannot become sick if you are aligned. But also there's this thing about, we discussed yesterday about this pill. If you take a pill and put it on the little finger, on the inner side of the little finger, then the heart meridian will actually take the frequency from the pill and charge you with that frequency. That means you only need one headache pill, because the whole family can use just one pill without eating it. It just explains what frequencies are, and yeah.
I had never heard of that before.
No.
But as for illnesses, I think whatever illness you get, or even if it's an accident, there is a psychological reason for it.
Yeah.
If it's an accident, it's quote, quote, rebellion against authorities, and I have smashed 9 cars. So that shows something.
No more driving.
But no, I don't drive anymore. But if you have an illness, a tumor or whatever, in a certain organ, that organ shows where the problem is. If it's in your breast, for instance, many people have breast cancer, I mean many women do,
yeah.
That's always nutritional or sexual. It just sort of signals that there is your problem. You have to attack that problem and not just the physical.
Yeah.
But in medicine, normally we just deal with the physical,
yeah.
And that doesn't help. It helps as first aid, of course, but on the long run, you have to deal with the psychological reason why you had, for instance, in a ski slope, you broke your leg. Leg represents your ability to go forward to the future. You're afraid of the future. There's always an explanation. But this is not taught in medical school. It's metaphysics. And that's why we still have so many illnesses that cannot be cured until doctors and patients, especially patients,
yeah.
Start asking, why did I get this?
Yeah.
What is the problem? Relationships, in the family,
yeah.
With friends, whatever. And then you get healed very, very quickly.
But it's a responsibility. If people start to take responsibility, then they will experience that their fear goes away. Because as I sometimes say to people, they ask me, how come you have so much energy? And I just answered one day without, I don't normally think a lot, because then it all just collapses. I said, it's because I take responsibility. And it just came, it was soul answering. Because I say to people, if you just take one little step, just one little step forward, all the helpers and everything upstairs or on the main office, I say, they will throw energy balls and everything you need. You just have to show them that you will take just one little step and take responsibility. Then everything will normally start to, sort out or flow or come into the right state.
Sure.
It takes so little.
That's true.
We say awareness, we need awareness, people need to be more aware. What can we do to get them out of the fear?
Well, what I try to do, on a personal level, I try to lecture about it. I try to write with articles and books. I don't think I can do anything more. But I was just in Switzerland last week, and there were 2,000 people coming to listen to a lecture on mind control. And they were other lecturers too, one from Switzerland and 3 from Germany. And the topics were something like Illuminati, or the hoax of the swine flu, where WHO is, saying it's a pandemic. It's ridiculous. But you have to always ask, what is the purpose of this? And of course the purpose would be that Big Pharma now is distributing all over vaccines. You can't make vaccines in a couple of months. That's ridiculous to even think. But they can give anything. And if they force people to take vaccinations, that will be very, very bad. But I just heard, at least in the news, that in Norway they're not going to force. So they're going to give them voluntarily to children and the elderly, which means they want to get rid of the children and the elderly, in my mind.
Yeah.
Because that is, again, according to the plan, to eliminate 2/3 of the world population. And the world, normal people know nothing about this. And they should know. So I would warn not to take the swine flu vaccination. I was in office as Chief Medical Officer of Lapland in Finland And at that time there was an Asiatic flu epidemic coming. So we were ordered by the National Board of Health to give vaccinations to people. Not by force, but, you know, given a chance. And it turned out that the vaccinations that were given were not against this specific flu. It was against a totally different virus, which means it was a WHO experimentation on the Finnish population. Because Finnish population is, since we were under the Tsar in Russia, and the rule, we always obey in a way, you know, aye, aye, sir. So we are very much used in vaccinations as experiments. And think of it. I mean, we were vaccinating people against a virus with another virus. Of course it had no effect. Now I think that's very, very unethical. But this is the way world functions today, unfortunately.
When we look at WHO, they removed the precautionary principle on electromagnetic radiation and fields, and then they have put it on the area for vitamins and supplements and so you have to be very careful about extra C vitamin and so. But has it always been like this, and have we only been able to really see the last 10 years perhaps, since, you know, we had this shift in presidency about 2000 in the United States? It seems like things have become so unethical after 2000, really unethical, and it's become obvious all over. But has it always been like this, but we haven't been able to really see it, that we have been experimented with, for instance, the last 50 years, 60 years, 80 years? So we are part of a huge experiment?
Yes, we are part of a huge experiment, and we still are. And it's been going on at least for 2 generations, at least for 50 years. Because when we talk about microchipping of the total population, so already in 1952, Project Moonstruck in the United States, a CIA project, was implanting electrodes into the teeth and brain of people to follow them and to control them. So absolutely we have been under, but you're totally right, it has accelerated. It's become worse and worse and worse in the last 10-20 years, and that I think has something to do with the electromagnetic smog which is coming. I mean, which is all over the world, in the Western world especially, in the big cities. And that is done also deliberately. Because just look at the parks, the lamps in the parks. Look at the lamps in the residential areas. Look at the lamps in the main streets. Look at the lamps in the children's daycare centers, in old people's homes, in schools. They are different than 20 years ago. And when you start looking up, you start wondering, why are they like that? They can be controlled remotely by giving different frequencies. Frequencies so that the whole area could be, for instance, made aggressive. Like in the Los Angeles riots. That was just an experiment. And it was never revealed officially that it's an experiment, even if there are movies showing how they are doing mind control. When you think that they put down in children's daycare centers and schools, that is very scary for the future generations. That is one of the reasons why we have so much aggressiveness. We say it's the television, you know, with the movies and aggressive movies and war movies. That is part of it, because TV, that can also film you, and this is not paranoia. The new TVs do film you when you watch them.
High density or
exactly,
high definition,
but they use also mind control in certain films, like Pokemon.